All right, guys. All right. Welcome to Frank Teaches DevOps, my lovely viewers. My lovely viewers. Yes, guys. So in today's video, we'll be talking about a commonly used machine learning library in Python, right? And that library is called Scikit. Scikit Learn, right? So before when I came across this library, I found it very difficult, to pronounce, right? So but later I had to decipher, right? I decipher it from pronouncing the word sciences, right? So in sciences, if I should separate the psi from the cis, right, I should get psychics, right? So this way I was able to pronounce the library scikit, right? So this guy is the short form for scikit is sklen. So that's the system name, right? That's the system name. That's the name. That's a library name it uses within Python. All right. So now, what is sklen? So sklen is a machine learning library in Python. It's a machine learning library in Python. Great. So it is a machine learning library in Python. So this sklearn is commonly used, right? It's commonly used. It's very common to data scientists as well as machine learning engineers. All right, very common. All right, great, very common, and it has of modules, right? So this scikit sklearn has a whole lot of models which you could apply to every stages um in the life cycle of machine learning. All right, machine learning has life cycle, and there are stages in the life cycle, and each of the life cycle there are models that you could use, all right, to relate to perform different tasks in each of the stages. So I will explain, guys, because I've seen a lot of authors as well as machine learning engineers and data scientists that just go ahead to start using the library sklearn without proper explanation, without letting us know that this sklearn that you're seeing, this scikit-learn is very broad. Scikit-learn is broad, is big, guys. It's very big. There are a lot of models. The models in scikit-learn is could amount to like 26 different kinds of models you could use um to model, okay, all right, to model a data set, all right, within the context of machine learning as well as within the context of data analysis. All right, so we have models, and these models have classes, and these models have classes. Okay, it's like I have it in my second slide. All right, let me explain. So I'm at this stage now. So sklearn has models, and these models have classes. Now the models are so many. We have the data set model, the pre-processing model, the feature selection model, the model selection, a lot, guys. We have up to there's a cluster model, there's a tree model, there's a neighbors model. All of these models are models that you could use to run tasks at every stage of the machine learning life cycle. All right, so quick one, let me just show us something. Let me go to Google. All right, let's bring out the ML life cycle. machine learning life cycle, right? So in machine learning life cycle, there are stages, right? So let me go to images. Let me illustrate why I need to talk about the scikit learn. There was one. Let me use. There was one I saw that makes much sense, better sense. That makes better sense. Let me check this. Exploratory data analysis, which is EDA. Okay, let me look. Machine learning life cycle. Let me type it in full. Machine learning life cycle. I should see that guy somewhere. I should see that guy somewhere. Okay, let me work with this. Is pretty the same thing. Copy image, but just different wording. All right. So let me work with this. Now look at this now. What I'm trying to explain is that you can see there are different stages. There's a business need, there's a data, there's a develop model, train model, test model, deploy model, connect to business app, and monitor and optimize. Right. So this author has used different wordings, all right, but they still mean the same thing, right? If we also look at other authors, right, they also use a different wording entirely, right? This one says define problem and AI approach, which is the first one: problem scope, data collection, data wrangling, data pre-processing, model building, model deployment, and monitoring. So this guy's approach is different, but they're saying the same thing. Similarly, this other guy says data acquisition, data preparation, hypothesis and modeling, evaluation and interpretation, deployment, operations, optimization. So different authors, they have their different interpretation. Good. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Right. So let me copy this guy as well. Copy this image. Bring it over here. Paste it. Right. So great. So let me just keep it side by side. Right. Now, what the Scikit learn does is sklearn does is now at each of these stage, there is a module you could call, right? There's a module, there is a module you could call to perform task in each of these stages in this circle. Now, for data collection, there is a module. For preparing the data, there is a model. For choosing a model, there is a model. For training the model, there is a model. For tuning the model, there is a model. For evaluation and testing, there is a model. For deployment and forecasting, which is predicting, there is a what? There is a model, right? So that's why, like I said, this library is widely used. It's widely used in machine learning. Almost everybody uses this library, sklearn, because it's very robust, and it has a lot of modules you can use to solve different problems within what machine learning. In machine learning, there are different types of machine learning. There are supervised learning, there is unsupervised learning, there is reinforcement learning. All right, okay. There are also different types of machine learning. Different authors talked about different things within machine learning itself, right? Great. And there's one of my video I did something. I talked about one of my machine learning and MLOps video. So here's my channel. This is my channel. If you don't watch this video, please rush and go and watch this video, right? To give you a foundation of machine learning and an introduction of machine learning operations. All right, machine learning operations. Okay, so machine learning, a lot of machine learning concepts is more of you need to guide yourself with a lot of theory, right? With a lot of theory, right? Great. But however, there are different level of implementations, all right, of machine learning concepts. Okay, great. So this video is a good place to start off. Okay, so quick one. So now this sklearn is widely used, right? Is widely used. So in each of these stages in the life cycle, you implement what sklearn models and their classes. Now, each of these models, they have classes. Each of these models have classes. For data sets, these are the number of classes. For pre-processing, there are classes. For feature selection, there are classes. For model selection, there are classes, and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to make some level of justice, right, to why you need to use sklearn and why you are using it, right? um why you're using it, okay? Because there are a lot of engineers. Yes, sir. There are lots of engineers that that's they know how to use it, but um people who are coming into data science and machine learning, they are struggling to wrap their head around why are they using the scikit learn library, all right, and the models that they use, how are they applying the models, all right? Because like I just broke it down now, each of these stages has a model used for it. All right. Now, for data collection, right, your data sets, which is the business need, talking about the data, right? Or for this other for this other diagram that says collecting the data, right? How do you bring your data sets into your environment, right? Into your environment, your machine learning environment, right? So there are different ways you could do that, right? You could use Panda if you already have a data set somewhere which you need to work with. But these are sample data sets, right? Similarly, all right, these are sample data sets which you can just use to walk around and play around machine learning concepts, right? So that's what I'm trying to explain in here. If you're using the scikit learn, what stage are you? What stage of the machine learning are you? Are you in the data collection? If you're in data collection, it means you're going to call what the data set model. And in the data set model, there are different words, there are different classes that you need to what make use of. All right, make use of. I think that's it. And quick one. So I'll be taking us through. I'll be basing this video on just the models data set. But before I go ahead, let me show us the link that I picked this information from. So this link, as you can see, there are lots of. Let's start off with here. Scikit-learn is a widely used machine learning library in Python. It provides a range of models and packages for various tasks in machine learning. Right, here are some important models and packages in scikit-learn and their uses. All right, so there are lots of models: pre-processing, model selection, feature selection, linear model, tree, cluster, metrics, and these guys, they solve different problems. Right? So in machine learning, there are two major kinds of problems. Two major kinds. We have the classification problem and we have what? The regression problem, depending on what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to solve. Okay, so I'll be sharing this link alongside in the video, right? So that that you can go there and you read and have more understanding. But I hope I've been able to dissect why you need this library and the models that are in the library and the classes that are being used in the model. All right, so the datasets model has these classes. All right, so great. So to demonstrate all of these, I'll be using a Jupyter notebook. So Jupyter notebook is a kind of a predefined Python environment, all right, that has everything that you need. All your libraries, they are intact. Everything that you need, you have it within a Jupyter notebook. So Installing a Jupyter notebook is very easy, right? It's very easy. You go to Google here and type how to install Jupyter notebook in Linux. In Linux. In Linux. All right, let's go to all. So you see different link that talks about how to install what Jupyter notebook. Very easy, straightforward. All right, straightforward. However, I will be using a cloud-based service that provides me Jupyter notebook, and that cloud base is called SageMaker. AWS SageMaker. You can see AWS, Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker is a machine learning service. All right, you could use to deploy machine learning models within the cloud, right? Within the cloud. So within my SageMaker, I have notebook. So within my notebook, I have created a notebook instance, right? So this notebook instance comes with, gives me access to what? A Jupyter notebook, all right? A Jupyter lab. So I'll be opening this notebook within a Jupyter lab, all right? Which I'll come over here, right click and open a new tab. Let's go there. Right. So it takes some time to open fully. But once it opens, yeah, we're there. So this is my interface of my um what's it called, Jupyter notebook, right? So now you can see there are different sections. There's notebook, there's console, there's order. So in here I can run some terminal commands. If I click it, this is just some Linux commands, all right? So you can run some Linux commands, can make directory within the Jupyter notebook instance, right? You can see that. Similarly, if I need the console, I have arrow for data analysis. I have PySpark. If I'm very good at arrow, right, writing arrow scripts or whatever, using arrow for data analysis, I can always run arrow commands in here. All right, great. So let me close this. So you can see, then for the notebook, I'll be using Conda Python 3. Conda Python 3, right? So you can also run some TensorFlow workloads, right? And you can do a lot of things, Spark Magic R, Spark Arrow, etc., etc. So I'll be using what? Python, Conda Python 3. So I'll click on it. Right, so I have this, right? So I want to demonstrate all of these data set, how to use the scikit learn, right, as well as the model and the classes to display the data sets that are the data that are in these different data sets. I'll be starting with what? Digits, right? So let me just copy this. Copy, come to my notebook. I can paste it somewhere here, right? So this is one. I'm not going to run this cell. So these are cells, right? I'm not going to run that cell. Just use it as a reference. So I'll insert a new cell downwards. So this is a new cell, right? I'll insert a new cell downwards. Great. So from here now, I want to start with what? I want to pull the data that are inside of what? The digit data sets, right? So for that, I'll be using pandas, right? I'll be heavily using pandas. So because panda gives me the function the functionality to pull um, to manipulate data sets, right? To manipulate data, right, within the data sets. So that's the functionality of pandas, right? So I'll be importing pandas, pandas as PD, right? Great. So after importing panda, now I need to now call the scikit library. So I'll say from sklearn dot the model is what? Data sets, data sets with an S, space, from this library and model, all right, import a class. The class is what? Load underscore digits. I don't know if there's an S. Load underscore digits, right? Now after I've loaded these digits, right? So now I need to um I need to define a frame using the pandas data frame. Right, but before I use the pandas data frame, I need to hold this data set somewhere. Right, to hold this data set somewhere, I could just say I could use any variable name. Let me just use df, right? So df is going to be data sets dot, which is going to be the module dot the class. So the class here is load digits as a function, right? The model dot the class. So now I now have this data, right? So I have the data now, but I can't see the data. So the other library that will make me to see the data is pandas, right? So I want to manipulate the data, right? I want to view the data. I want to use pandas data frame feature, all right, to view what's inside of this digit data set. So next now I will now say, okay, um let me just say view data. Let me just use a variable called vd view data. I'll say pd panda, right? Pd dot data frame. So I'm using pandas data frame feature to pull the data. So what I will now say, okay, I will now say df dot data. So this now, so the df dot data has the rows, all right? It has the features. Features in here are referred to as the records, right? So the records, comma, is equal to, so I need to also print out the columns, right? Because ordinary with like this, let me print what will happen. So I will now come down here and I will now say vd dot head. Now what I want to do now is I just want to print the first 5 lines of this data set. So if I hit enter, I don't hit enter. So what I will do, I'm going to compile this cell. So I'll click on this run button. So once I click on this run button, it's not displaying anything yet. All right. Let's it's not displaying anything yet. Df that said dot load digits. All right. Vd is it? There's something wrong here. So let me run this. All right. So data sets, data is there an S, data sets dot load data sets dot load is that should be load underscore digits. Mm-hmm. Okay. Data sets. Yeah. Okay. What was our challenge here? Data set is not defined. Data sets is completing data set is not defined. Data set is not defined. Data sets. Why is it completing data set is not defined? What's wrong in here? What's wrong in here? From sklearn dot datasets, right? Import load underscore digits. Okay, right? Then define frame datasets the load underscore digit as a function. All right, vd pd dot data frame. All right, df dot data. All right, let me shouldn't have, let me finish, let me define the columns and see something. Columns is equal to, all right, df, right, dot feature underscore names. I don't know why this is not running. Feature underscore name, but let's see. Let me run this one more time. It's still complaining of the data sets. Uh, let me change. Let me change. Wait. Let me use Iris. Iris. And let's come over here. Load Iris. Okay. Load Iris. Let me rerun it. There's something wrong somewhere, guys. Don't worry, you are going to crack this thing. You are going to crack this thing. All right, so let me do it frame by frame. Cut this. All right, so let me run this build. That's okay. This was successful. Good. All right, so great. So these data sets, then the next one will be let's load this. Let's load this. Let's run this. All right, so let me try remove this. So data sets dot load underscore iris. Okay, let's run it. But there's an issue somewhere, guys. Trace back, most written call lasts. Wait, let me create is correct. Let me do something. Let's say import pandas as pd. All right, great. That's perfect. Then from I would have loved. Okay, let me just from sklen dot data sets, right, which is there. Import load underscore iris. All right, load underscore iris. Let's run it. Okay, let's run it one more time. Okay, now after importing that, now let's load that. Let's say load data is equal to data sets, right, dot load underscore iris function, right? So let's run that and see something. Wow, let's say it's not defined. Data. Okay, or I could change it this way. Um. All right. So let me use something. Let me change. I could say from sklen import datasets. All right. From sklen import this model. Let's run that and see. That's okay. All right. Import this model. Now let's load the data. So I'm now say data sets great dot load underscore iris data sets. All right, let's still run and see something. Still here, let's run that. Great. Now still on there. All right, after loading, I'll now use the function of the capability of let me say view data. All right, use a variable view data of panda pd dot data frame, capital F, data frame, bracket open, right? I'll now say ld dot data, bracket close, right? So let me just run this and see what happens. Let me delete this guy. Let me delete here. All right. So let's run this now. All right. All right. So yeah. So it's not displaying anything because I've not displayed the content of the data. So I can now say, okay, VD vd.head, all right, as a function. So what this would display for me, display the first five um records in the data set. So I press enter. Okay, great guys. All right, so it should have been from sklearn import dataset, import the model. Okay, so while we were having this challenge, where was that? So we are using this alongside, right? So that's okay, that's fine, right? That's fine. So like I said, yeah, so I'm still trying to mong up my Python skill set, all right? But the bottom line is I'm trying to explain a concept, right? Why the sklearn library um is used, but in as much as it's being used, right, there hasn't been much explanation around the usage, right, of the library, which I'm trying to break down, right? So from this library, import this model. Now in this model, there are classes. So the load underscore iris is a class. So let's start with the digits, the way we had it here, right? Digits. So I can come back to here. Let me just so import pandas, sklearn imports data sets. All right. So import data sets. So I can say df is equal to data sets dot the class. The model dot the class. The class I'll use load underscore digits. All right. Now after that, I need to now use, I'm going to say view data, right? VD. View data goes panda pd dot data frame into, all right, the data frame, which is vd dot data, all right, which you have there. Then finally, I need to view the content of the data I already have, right? Vd dot what head. So this will display for me the um, first five records, right? The first five records in that data set. However, the columns are not, doesn't make sense, all right? Doesn't make sense. So what I'll now do is, but let me delete this guy. To delete this cell, just press DD twice on your keyboard. DD twice deletes that cell, all right? So now what I'll now do is I'm going to modify this data frame. So I'll say comma. So I need to print the columns as well. So column equals to the data frame, this variable, the dv, the df, and let me just call it ld, load data. So it makes sense. Load data, ld. So this will now be ld dot features, feature underscore names. So this will print for me the column name. So I was now run this command. So you can see in this digits data set, these digit data sets which we have here, there are these number of records, right? So if I want to see the entire column, the entire rows, I'll remove the open and close braces, sorry, open and close brackets. Now hit enter. So to show me a whole lot. So it's telling me that there are 1,797 rows as regards to and by 64 columns. 64 columns. All right, 64 columns. So similarly, if I leave this thing like this, all right, I'm going to get just only the data. So let me put, so I want to know the number of, so you can see from 0 to 63 is 64 columns. All right, so great. So let's remove this guy and comments, rerun it. So we have this now. So similarly, I can print out info about this record. I can come here, I can now say vd.info, right? Now press run. So it gives me information. So this is information about these data sets. So this is the record. Class pandas call columns. It has a total 64 columns, and the column and their data types. So all of these columns are of the float data type, right? So memory usage is this, blah 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 blah. So you can see how I can also describe this data set. I can say vd.describe is a function, and I'll run this guy. So describing that guy, so this is description. So this guy is telling me that the total count of the rows is 1797, right? The mean of this, the mean of each of these column, this is 0, the standard deviation is this, the minimum value is this, the 25 percentile is this, the 50 percentile is this, the 75 percentile is this, and the maximum is this, etc., etc. All right. So yeah, so I'll be loading other data set as well. So I'll just pick it from we've done the digits. Let's do diabetes. So I'll copy from here, needless of taking all of these. I'll just copy from here. It's the same thing because I've already loaded the model, which is data sets, and I'm already loaded the pandas library. So I'll just copy from here, copy that. Then in this cell, I'll paste it. Right. So what I need here is, wait, did I copy? All right. So I need to load the, what's it called? The class of the data sets. So I'll say load this to be data sets dot. I've used digits. Let's use iris. So I'll say load underscore iris function. Right. So great. So I'm now press run this. I run this. I should have. It's still giving me digits. This is still giving me digits. It's still giving me digit, guys. All right. Let me change something. Import pandas as speedy. Then from sklearn, all right, import data sets. All right, great. So let's run this and see something. I'm still having this data. Where is it coming from? Oh, df, sorry, it's picking it from here. Sorry, it has to be ld and ld. Yeah. So enter. Yeah, it has changed. So even without using this guy as well, let me delete those two guys, right? Because it was referencing. Yeah, so I think we are good now, right? So you can see we have this number of records. So if I want to see everything, I could remove that and rerun it. So how many columns do we have? We have about 154 columns with 150 rows. All right. So let's just keep it simple. Great. So with this, I want to print out the entire records in the whole datasets classes. So this other one will be wine. Let's look at what we have under wine. So for wine, I can say WD wine data, and I'll call it here wine data. I'll remove wine data. I'll run it. So this is wine. So we have different types of wine. We have alcohol, we have malic acid, we have the ash wine, alkalinity of ash wine, magnesium, total phenols. All right, great, great. So the next one is breast cancer. Let's look at breast cancer. So I'll copy this, copy, come here. I will say BD, and I'll say load underscore breast underscore cancer. All right. So that's the data set. So I'm good. So I'll come here. I'll say BD, BD, and BD. All right. So I'll run this. So these are different information coming from the breast cancer data set. Right. Likewise, let's look at I've seen iris, we've seen wine. Let's look at diabetes. All right. Let's look at diabetes. Diabetes. So I could paste that. I could say DD, all right, DD and DD, all right. Obviously, it's still recording. Great, guys, still recording. Great, all right. So DD, which is what was that? Load underscore diabetes, all right. So run this guy and see. So you can see these are records, diabetes data sets. So you can see we've been able to pull out the data within these data sets, right? There's digital data sets, diabetes data sets, the breast cancer data sets. This is Boston. I don't know how to pull it. I've tried it severally, but it wasn't coming. All right. Then the wine data set as well as the iris data sets. So you can see we were able to import Panda. All right. Now using this scikit-learn, the scikit-learn library, from this library, import this module data sets, right? As we explain here, there are different models, right? There's dataset models, pre-processing, feature selection, model selection. So my concern was just centered around what dataset, the dataset what model, and the classes, the different classes, how to use the classes. So far so good, guys. You've seen how we've been able to manipulate with the help of pandas. We've been able to manipulate the data in these data sets. This I wanted to show you guys. And yeah, so guys, I hope this session has been very informative, and I'd love to see us in the next session. All right, so see you guys and have a lovely evening.